Hello, Jasmine, and hello, Ray. I guess the both of you are watching on separate devices, even though currently in the same household, and that's fine. Let's wait for the others to show up, okay? Hello, Chloe. Hello, Adam. All right, so as you guys can see in the text below, all right, think about a deviant act that you committed recently and type it out in the comments. So I don't want you to confess to a crime. This is not the place. But remember the difference between a crime and deviance. All right, so I'm sure that each of you has committed some form of deviant act over the last few weeks, even though you're at home. Granted, the opportunities to commit a deviant act is limited, given that you are all cooped up at home. But I dare assume that you have committed it in some form or another over the last few weeks. So it could be disobeying your parents, getting into a fight with your siblings, not doing your homework, right? Not behaving as society expects you to. Describe it and put it in the comments below. Hi, Kwohan. Hi, Esther. Hi, Sean. All right, so as I mentioned, go ahead and think. I want you guys to talk about a deviant act that you guys may have committed recently. Okay, 9 people watching. Who are the other? Wohan, have a think. Who else is supposed to be here but is not online yet? I currently have 9 people viewing. That's Jasmine, Ray, Chloe, Adam, Kohan, Esther, Sean, Chloe. That's 8. Who's the 9th person? All right, thank you, Chloe, for that. Disobeying your parents 101. All right, thank you for your honesty. And I want you guys to think back, yeah? How is this a deviant act and not a crime? What is the difference? Yes, Ray, swearing would be another deviant act. We don't expect children, and yes, you are still a child, you are still dependent on your parents to be swearing. Jasmine, don't lie. What do you mean you don't know? That is such a white lie. See, that in itself is a deviant act right there, I think, Jasmine. Sean, you got to elaborate. What do you mean by being bad? Well, you missed a class earlier today, so that's a deviant act right there. Wow, Esther, you picked an argument with a teacher. Don't tell me which teacher, but yes, that would be a deviant act. Okay. Sean, you got to give me more details. Being bad is too broad. All right, I think everyone is here. Kohan, are we missing anyone? Okay, yeah, maybe I'm realizing too much about you guys now. I don't know if I like this, but maybe this was a bad example. Ill-fated exercise. Yeah. You guys are not the angels I thought you were. Wow, Ray, you just threw your sister under the bus. Throwing her on the bus means like you just outed her and you highlighted her flaws, and you just said that, yeah, always arguing with your mom. Wow, okay. Kohan, eating lunch while studying because I'm hungry. How is that a deviant act, Kohan? Eating lunch while studying, that's not necessarily deviant. Adam, you shouldn't have told me that. Very bad. No. All right. Okay, Jasmine and Ray, you guys can take that offline then. Okay. All right. Let's come to this. Let's get started with our class. So today we're going to still continue with Unit 6, Crime, Deviance, and Social Control. Again, recall the difference between a crime and a deviance. There's nothing written in the law saying that, Kohan, you cannot eat lunch while studying or while attending this online class, right? Or there isn't a law that says that you shall not argue with your mom, Jasmine, right? But these are obviously deviant acts because these are not part of the norms or values that we as a society we hold. Right? We expect children, dependents, to be submissive and obedient to your parents, to your caregivers, right? All right, so yeah, that's right. So one of you may have committed a crime by sneaking out of your home during this MCO, and now it's online now. See, so yeah, be careful what you share online. Okay, now real quick. Now, even if let's say you were caught, okay, I guess the good thing about you guys being young is that you are still labeled as juveniles, okay? Juveniles, what does that mean? That means that legally you are not an adult, so you won't be treated as an adult under the legal system. So there's a term here, let me just pull it up here. All right, so we can leave this on. Yeah, so juvenile delinquency, this is on page 198. All right, know this term, okay? Deviant acts, notice that it's not a crime per se, but it can be a crime, but deviant acts by young people that would be treated as crimes if they were older. So if you did the same thing, right? Let's say you stole something or you robbed someone. If you are below the age, the legal age, some countries it's 16, some countries 18 or 19, whatever, right? If you're below that legal age by which you are considered an adult in the eyes of the law, if you commit that act, okay, while still below that age limit, then you as a juvenile, you would have been found to commit or to be guilty of juvenile delinquency, okay? So the act may be the same, say robbing or stealing, whatever, and I'm definitely telling you, please do not do that. But if someone were to do that and they were under that age limit, okay, they would not be treated as an adult, okay? So that's on page 198, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, now for the fun part. All right, so who do you think is more susceptible or more likely to commit a crime? Okay, I'm not going to ask you to make those comments. So according to your textbook, it is right here. All right, so these are the people who are likelier to commit a crime as according to your textbook. Now, essentially what I'm going to do today is I'm going to summarize pages, all the content between pages 198 and about 209 or so, okay, up until the portion of really 208 though, yeah, so 198 to 208, okay, so make sure you read your textbooks, those of you who have them, pages 198 through 208, okay. I'm just going to give you a broad summary in today's class. Thank you, Esther, for that definition of deviant, okay. Now, if you look at the bottom of page 198, so these are the people who are likelier. See, I like this shot because I can then flex while I show off all this stuff. Yeah, some muscle. Okay, anyways, so first one, okay, males, okay, boys, okay, they are likely to commit a crime. Now, why is that? Okay, so one of the theories one of the reasons or factors that sociologists point to will be this aura of masculinity. All right, you guys heard of this, manly man. You guys watch that in the movies, you watch that on your TV shows, in some of the stories that you read, right? The idea that, it's the guy who breaks the rules and then saves the day and then takes all these risks and is the reckless one, and they are not afraid of violence, right? And they can resolve problems through violence. All these narratives or all these things, right, feed into this idea of masculinity, that a man is a real man if he does this, right? Take unnecessary risks, violent, right? Suppress their emotions, right? All those things. So it's these traits, okay, these characteristics that feed into behaviors that often lead to crime, right? Oh, men break the rules, right? Manly man. Well, then what are some rules that you can break? You keep pushing those limits, and then if you cross that line, it then becomes a crime, right? Or showing violent behavior to resolve problems, etc. So that is why sociologists say that because of masculinity and these other factors, that's why guys are more inclined to commit a crime. Sean asks, would there be a penalty to the parent of the child if they perform a deviant act? You know what, good question. I'm not sure. I genuinely don't know. Well, society would not view on them kindly, so that's a punishment of sorts. But legally speaking, I don't know. You might have to ask a lawyer. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, but anyways, so first one is males. Okay, they are likelier to commit a crime. Okay, now second one, ethnic minorities. Okay, so if let's say you're in a society where there's predominantly one major race, and so if this individual is part of the ethnic minority, not the majority, but ethnic minority, they might have limited life chances, right? If they do not speak the same way or have the same language or use the same code, don't have the same culture, don't have the same values, right? So it'll be harder for them to integrate into the majority of society, right? Malaysia is different because Malaysia is unique. You've got so many different cultures. It's a melting pot, and so it's very intertwined. But there are other societies whereby you've got this one predominant ethnicity, right, or culture, and those who are on the outside or on the fringes will find it hard to get in, right? So as a result, you might, or that individual might suffer from this thing called, let me just pull this up. If I can take this away. All right, so relative deprivation. Okay, now this is on page 200. Okay, the feeling of having less than others with whom a comparison can legitimately be made. Okay, once again, relative deprivation, the feeling of having less than others with whom a comparison can legitimately be made. Okay, now, so if you break up that two-word phrase, relative deprivation, so the root word of, let's start with deprivation, right? The root word of deprivation is deprive, right? So you're deprived of something. So in this example, in society, you may work really hard, you work so much, but then still you cannot get the kind of promotion, or you cannot get access to the same riches or high paying jobs. Why? Because the employers or those who are hiring say that, this individual doesn't fit our code, doesn't fit our culture, it's very hard to communicate with this person, right? So that individual will be deprived of those life chances. Okay, now, so that's deprivation. Okay, deprive. You can write that word down in your notebook, look up the definition later, or if you have your dictionary with you right now, which you should, feel free to flip over and look up the dictionary's definition. Okay, now, so that's the deprivation part. Relative, so that means in relation to, right? So perhaps an ethnic minority in a rich country, in a very developed economy, right, may still be richer than, say, the average person in a developing economy, okay, a poorer country, right? But who are they comparing to? They're comparing to the richer person, or the person who has better life chances in their own society, right, in where they live. Okay, so that's why it's relative deprivation. Okay, you are deprived, or that individual is deprived relative to those who are better off in that society, not some person in some far off country whom that individual has got little or no connection to or with, right? So that's what it means. Okay, if you guys understand relative deprivation, type out I understand relative deprivation. I understand the concept of relative deprivation. Write that out in the comments below, or off to the side, wherever the comment section is in your screen. Okay, on your screen rather. Okay, so that's relative deprivation. So let's come back to this, right? So we'll talk about males. So that's why ethnic minorities may be likelier to commit a crime. Why? Because they suffer from this phenomenon that sociologists call relative deprivation, right? They try so hard through the normal ways, through the legal ways, to maybe get a high-paying job, or get a decent job, or at least get paid minimum wage, or get into government schools, or access the kinds of benefits and services that other members of that society has, right? But they try and then they can't. So how do they try and alleviate their living conditions? They then turn to illegal ways, okay, turn to crime. Okay, so if by working this job, I only get paid 500 ringgit a month, or less than minimum wage of less than 1,000 ringgit a month, right? How else can I go and get money? I cannot work more because I'm already working 12 hours a day. Maybe this person might resort to stealing. Okay, that's an example. Okay. Thank you for all those who understand. Sean, Jasmine, Chloe, Ray, Esther, Kohan, Adam. You sure you understand, Adam? Okay, so that's relative deprivation. So you're deprived relative to who? Relative to your next door neighbors, like or the ethnic majority, those who have access to all the benefits in that society, right? But then this person is outcast relative to them, as opposed to relative to like some other random person in a poorer country. Who cares? Right? Because it's a lot harder for them to access this kind of stuff anyways. But these two groups are in the same society. One's a majority, one's a minority. But these guys might find it harder to get the same life chances as these guys. Okay? So as a result, they have relative deprivation. There's another one, material deprivation. Did I take that picture? Material deprivation. I think it was early on in the textbook. But anyways, so because of that deprivation, they might resort to crime. Okay, Adam. So if you guys don't understand, just let me know. Okay. Thank you, Adam, for letting me know. Okay, and I hope you understand now. So that's ethnic minorities. Second one. Yeah, that. Okay. Third one. Okay, extreme parenting styles. Now it can go both ways. Okay, according to sociologists at least. Turn to page 198 if you have your textbooks. Look at the third bullet point. Okay, parenting styles that are either very lenient. Okay, very lenient means do whatever you want lah, don't care lah. Okay, or very strict. Okay, so if you're on either extreme, okay, it can seem more likely to lead to delinquent children. So then the children are pushed, according to sociologists, perhaps pushed into some of these delinquent behaviors, deviant acts, and so they are likelier to then eventually commit crimes. Okay, I can tell you a story. One of my best friends growing up, met him in primary school. Then we became closer in secondary school. Man, like the parents were very lenient. Okay, I can just tell you this right now because it's so long ago. When I was, I think, 12 years old. I think I was, 12, 13, 14 lah. Okay, and this guy was my age. I won't tell you his name because we're online, right? Even at 12, 13, 14 years old, he was able to take his mom's car and we'll go out for joyrides, and not just within Klang, but sometimes, you know, outside of Klang as well, so using the highway, right? True story, he was tinier than me, although now he's then shot up and now a lot taller than me. But he used to sit on the phone books because he was so tiny, you know, at age 12, 13, 14. He was a very late bloomer. A tiny little guy. So he used to sit on phone books and sit up right up close to the steering wheel so that his legs could reach the pedal and the brakes, you know, and the clutch, because it was an automatic car, and then had the gear, and then handle the steering wheel at the same time. Yeah. So once in a while, you know, when I was feeling adventurous, I would not just get in the car with him and we'll go on our joy rides, but then sometimes he'll let me change the gears as well. He'll press the clutch and I was like, all right, first gear, yeah, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that was clearly deviant. But his parents were like super lenient. They knew he was taking the mom's car. The mom knew, and he would just go up to the mom and just ask for the car keys and would just go off, right? Mom didn't really care. Now, did it lead him to be a criminal? No, at least not that I know of. In fact, he's a very successful businessman now. He got a lot of money and a lot of businesses now, and he's quite active in politics as well, right? So it's not always the case, but it was clearly a deviant act. Pretty much a crime as well, because it's written in the law that you shouldn't drive without a driver's license, but he did it. So that's an example of how some very extremely lenient parents can lead the children towards deviant acts, because the kids will do whatever they want, right? And then the other extreme is also the same, okay? If they're constantly just subjected to violent treatment, right? They might turn out to, or use those same tactics, use that same behavior on others as well. So that can lead to delinquent or criminal behavior, okay? How many of you enjoyed that story? Yeah, type it out. All right, so that was my story of, two 12-year-olds, or we were young teenagers, right? 12, 13, 14, I think. We're 12, 13, I can't remember now. But yeah, we used to cycle together as primary school kids. Then we upgraded to a car by the age of 12, yeah. Okay, so that's the third one. Then, last but not least, criminal role models all the way in the bottom, right? As you can see right there. So this is where, if let's say, now role modeling, we studied this, or rather we studied this in chapter or unit 4 from level 1, if you guys remember, right? This is how children learn behaviors. They are socialized through the process of role modeling, right? So they see mommy and daddy do something, they act out a certain way. Then as they grow older, as they're exposed to more role models, teachers, peers, you know, the cool kid in school, whatever, then they pattern their behavior after that, right? So likewise, those who have criminal role models, not just in real life, but potentially in the media as well, or they see some bad guy in a movie or a TV show and they have those same traits, right? That can lead to criminal behavior as well. Pretty straightforward, okay? Now let me just, okay, Chloe says that, she and Esther know of someone who illegally drives. Okay, that's all we need to know. Don't reveal the identity and all that, okay? Well, I'm glad that Adam and Kohan enjoyed the story, but it does not mean that you can or you must emulate such behaviors, okay? Be good, especially now at home. No sneaking out. Obey the law. It's the law now. It's not a suggestion. All of these movement control orders, all the terms and conditions that come with it, it's law, okay? Excuse me. All right, so that's pretty much the gist of pages 198 to 208. So let me explain, okay? Now, let me actually make a slight edit here. It should actually be younger males. Okay, let's try this. Okay, it should be younger males. Okay, now think about it. Okay, because older people, right, will have limited opportunities to commit crimes, right? Think about it. If let's say, I don't know, if let's say I wanted to break into someone's house and steal their TV set or whatever, right? It'd be easier for me to jump over the fence, although I'm not that nimble. Easier for someone like me to jump over the fence, use the crowbar to break open the door or break open the window, whatever it is, and grab the TV and then go out, right? Not that I'm saying you should do this, but I'm assuming, I'm not speaking from experience, but I'm assuming that's a process, right? As opposed to, let's say you get a 70-year-old male, an 80-year-old male, or somebody who's, Mr. Tan's age. It'll be quite funny to watch Mr. Tan climb over the fence, right, and break into someone's house, then carry this big TV and climb back over the fence, right? It'd be kind of hilarious. Now, why would it be funny? Because physically they wouldn't be capable, or they'd be less capable of doing so, right? So that's why sociologists also say that older people tend to commit less crimes. It does not mean that older people do not commit crimes, but they may commit different kinds of crimes, okay? Such as like victimless crimes. Well, it really depends. But their physical limitations certainly stops them from committing physically intensive crimes, right? Mr. Tan, it'd be harder for a younger person, a 20-year-old, to outrun the cops as opposed to a male or female in his or her 60s or 70s or 80s, right? Okay, so that's part of page 199. Okay. Yeah. So, but then keep in mind, it doesn't mean that older people don't commit crimes. Sometimes because they're older, so they lose their source of income, then they might feel the pressures of relative deprivation or material deprivation. So it's the same thing, right? Relative deprivation is when you're deprived of these life chances or goods and services or benefits relative to others in society. That's number one. Material deprivation, essentially the same thing. You're deprived, but of these material things. Okay, so the stuff that you really want but you cannot get. So how do you go get it? You try, or you'll use illegal ways to get these material goods, okay? But white collar crime, older people can still commit, perhaps not those that are not physically intensive, okay? So I just want to make that clear. So younger males, not so much older males or females, older people less so, okay? Any questions for me right now? Okay, let me look at the comments. Sean, no. So Sean asks, are children more likelier to perform a crime than a young adult? Firstly, no, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because if the child commits a crime to begin with, then the child will not be considered a crime. It will be considered just juvenile delinquency, right? So, okay, one really sobering statistic will be one really sobering phenomenon in the US will be, say, a lot of kids somehow get access to their parents or their dad or mom's firearms and accidentally and fatally shoot their sibling. Okay, maybe parents are not home or parents are somewhere else in the house. The young children are unsupervised. They somehow stumble upon the parent's gun and they fire it and accidentally kill one of their siblings, right? And it happens quite a fair bit. So they are then not treated as criminals, but it's certainly a juvenile delinquency. So, but they'll definitely be treated as juveniles. Now, another reason why children are less likely to perform crimes than young adults is because of supervision, right? As long as children are dependent on the parents and the parents have a say, right? Think about it, you guys right now. Your parents have a control over where you go, how much money you have, where you eat, what you do, how you get from point A to point B. They drive you there or arrange transport. many facets of your life or your daily activities are controlled by your parents, right? It's once that control eases up, and that happens when you become an adult. Then that's when people have more opportunities to commit crime. Like you no longer stay in the same house as the parents, or move to another state, and all of a sudden you're independent and you're free, right? So that's when all these opportunities come up. And not only do those opportunities come up, but these individuals can then act on those opportunities. Children, sure, the opportunities might be there, but the chance to act on it is a lot more limited. Why? Because you're still dependent, you're still supervised by your parents, guardians, your authority figures, whereas young adults are not. Okay, so those are two important distinctions right there. But good question, Sean. Kohan asks, Ryan, why are you here? Well, because he misses my bald face and he wants to see Mr. Han's face. So there's nothing wrong with that. Adam says, not children, but teenagers, I think. Yeah, well, so again, teenagers, so for the same reasons that I explained to Sean earlier, okay? Yeah, so Kohan has also jumped into that, waded in on that discussion, okay? Let me see whether I should continue with this other stuff. Those of you who have your textbooks, please read. Yeah, okay. Real quick. Now obviously, types of crimes. Okay, so obviously the nature of crime has changed as well, right? So it's no longer just murders, crime of passions, stealing, robbing from people, although those are still prevalent. But you've also got cyber crime, technological crime. So you guys can Google this later. Apparently, Zoom is under investigation now for some privacy and some data breaches, I think. That's just media reports. I'm not saying that they're doing it, but I think there's some suspicion of that. That's been in the news over the last few days, right? So malware, identity theft, it doesn't cause you physical harm, or sending virus through the internet and you open the email link, right? But these are the new types of crimes, okay? Cyber crimes, as they call it, crimes that happen in the online space, in the digital sphere, okay? That's all new. We've only got about 5 minutes left. I want to see how much time I have to go through this. Shall we leave this for tomorrow? Well, we'll definitely pick it up from page 210 for those of you who have a textbook next week when we go over the explanations of crime. So even if the MCO is lifted on Wednesday, April 14th, I doubt it, but if it is, but that still means we will still have our sociology class on Monday right here on YouTube, right? Dang it. All right. Tell you what, with the 5 minutes that we have left, just bear with me. I'll just create one more graphic. The other stuff between pages 198 and 208 are quite laborious to go over via YouTube, so I hope you can read it. What I've done earlier is just go over the main points, right? So make sure you read all that. Let me just try and do this one graphic, and then can go over this. Yeah, okay, give me a second, yeah? Duplicate. In the meantime, read as you stare at the top of my ball head. Or if you guys have questions, feel free to post them in the comments. Okay, let me just do this real quick. I didn't think we'll go through this so quickly, but okay. Incapacity. Or if you want to read ahead, I'm preparing the graphic on page 209 right now, ways of dealing with crime, okay? Deterrence. And what else? Sorry, just give me 1 second. Yeah, almost done. Okay, done. All right. All right, so this is from page 209. That's going to pull this up and take this off. Okay, so let's just finish this with the little time that we have left. Okay, so now this is from page 209. Yeah, so ways you can deal with crime. Okay, so here are the 4 main groups. Okay, so the first one is incapacitation. Okay, so the capacity, so the ability to commit a crime, you take away that capacity. Okay, incapacitation. Okay, if you look on page 209, it means to prevent the offender from committing more crimes. So, for example, you imprison them or you ban them from an area or activity. All right. So, for example, I think registered sex offenders in the US. I don't know about Malaysia. Maybe Malaysia as well. But in the US, there's a registry. So then people in the neighborhood can actually look up online to see if there are any registered sex offenders that live in that area. Although that's not really incapacitation, sorry. But the idea is that, if the registered sex offender is not allowed to be within 100 yards or within a certain distance of, say, schools or childcare centers or the former victim's home, right? So you remove the ability to for the offender to commit these crimes, okay, or these more crimes. And of course, the easiest one is to imprison them. Okay. Second one, to deter. Okay, that means you at least you teach others. Okay, so you prevent them from doing it to begin with. Okay, that's what it means to deter. Okay, you teach someone about the consequences, right, before they even do it. So, like your parents tell you, if you don't obey me, then no dessert for you, right? Or you see your other parents punishing their children, like while walking in a shopping mall, then the parents say, you see, if you're naughty like that, Sean, I will punish you like that as well, right? So the idea is that, you are made aware of the consequences even before the act happens, so you don't do it, okay? All right, so that's deter. Okay, so deter is before the act. Incapacitation is after one act has been committed. Okay, then how do you remove the capacity to keep from that person to commit the same crimes or other crimes? Okay, exile and ostracism. Okay, I'll skip rehabilitation, but we'll go on to exile and ostracism. I will try and pull up the definitions here on the textbook. Just give me 1 second. I'm doing this all on the fly. I'm being reactive, I'm being spontaneous, because I genuinely thought that the stuff that I prepared would take a lot longer to go over, but I guess not. Okay, save. By the way, there's going to be a typo in this definition that I'm going to pull up on the screen in a bit. Okay, give me 30 seconds. Okay, let's see if this works now. Oh, where are you? There we go. Okay, here it is. So for those of you who don't have a textbook, okay, let's remove this. Okay, I'll pull this up. Okay, here are the definitions for exile and ostracism. So the typo is obviously in how you spell punishment. It's punishment, not punishment. Yeah. So punishment involving the offender having to leave their home and community. Ostracism, punishment involve being excluded from the community. So essentially they're the same, okay, but not quite going to prison. Okay, so incapacitation, that's prison, or sometimes they call it incarceration as well. Okay, exile and ostracism, not quite going to jail per se, but you are definitely, or the offender is removed from home or from the community, or from society. Okay, so yeah, they're different. Okay, slight difference, but just know what all these terms mean. Okay, being sent into exile, being sent into ostracism, or being sent to prison. Okay, now last but not least, we'll go back to this one. Okay, so we've done incapacitation, okay, sending to jail or remove the capacity to commit subsequent crimes, but the crime has already been committed. Deter means before the crime has even happened, you're aware of the consequences. I don't want to go to jail, right? I don't want to be punished, right? So you don't commit the crime. Exile, ostracism, you're removed from society, family, community, whatever, okay? Now, rehabilitation. Now, this is an important one, okay? Because there's a lot more emphasis on rehabilitation now, more so than some of these other ways of dealing with crime, okay? Now, so the idea is for rehabilitation, the idea is instead of punishing the criminal, you help them change their behavior, okay? You rehabilitate them, help them to relearn new behaviors or new cultures or new norms, right? New values, okay? There's a lot more emphasis on that, especially in developed countries, in the Scandinavian countries, for example. So you hear of like, even those who are sent to jail, then actually get a lot of time to get a college degree or finish their high school diploma or learn a skill like making woodwork or making things that they can sell, or learning how to be an electrician, like so many of these different courses. Why? So the idea is that perhaps the reasons that this person committed a crime was because of material deprivation, relative deprivation, or the lack of socialization. Okay, so it's through the process of rehabilitation, you rehabilitate this criminal so that they learn new things, and not just learning new values, but then they also learn new skill sets. So all that can improve their life chances, so that when they leave jail or they've served their time, then they can have improved life chances when they go back into society and try to be reintegrated into society. Okay, so that's rehabilitation. Like right now, you hear of stories or you read reports about how inmates are those prisoners, but it's a more politically correct term. Inmates are now sewing face masks, right? Because they've got a lot of time and they've been learning how to sew, right? And because they are in these secluded areas, there's not a lot of people going in and out, so they are pretty safe from the coronavirus outbreak. So what do they do with their spare time and their skills? They're making face masks for people out there in society who don't have enough face masks, right? So that's an example of how this rehabilitation process, right, can be put to good use, okay, in times like this. Okay, all right, so I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I hope you guys understand all these ways of dealing with crime. We will leave it at that for today. We have gone over, well, we did all right because some of you were late. But yeah, so if you got any questions, just post in the comments, and I'll address them now. If not, if you're done, just say, thank you, Mr. Han. I understood everything in today's lesson. Goodbye. All right, leave in the comments and then you can go. All right. So again, if you got questions or comments, post them in the comment section, either below or off to your right, wherever it is. If not, then you're free to go. Classes has ended. The class has ended for today. Just post in the comments saying that. Just say, thank you, Mr. Han. I understood today's lesson. Goodbye. And then you can go. Okay. I hope my chat is still working. Are you guys still there? Why am I not seeing any comments? Okay, Sean and Chloe, but the question is, did you guys understand? Did you guys understand everything that was shared in today's lesson? That's the most important part. Okay? Let me know if you do. Okay, thank you, Ray, for the complete sign-off. Well done. Oh, hi, William. You were here today. Good. You went so far. What do you mean, Esther? I went too far in the textbook? Yeah, again, like I said, it's rather hard to try and explain and rather tedious to go over every single minor detail. Okay, so the best way is you've got all this time at home, you have your textbooks, so read. If you have questions, ask me during our YouTube sessions, or you can WhatsApp me, okay? Via WhatsApp, it'll be harder to explain, but yeah, better to just ask me in our next YouTube session, okay? All right, Chloe understood. Okay, thank you. All right, have a good day. I still have 6 people watching. Kohan, are you done? Adam, do you understand everything? Yes? No? Okay, it's 1:48 exactly according to my iPad time. So I'll give it 2 more minutes. If you guys have any more questions, I'll wait for the viewer count to either go to 0 or I'll wait for 2 minutes, whichever one comes first, then I'll log off. Okay? It's 1:49 now, 1 more minute. View count is still at 5. 1:49. Any questions? Any questions at all? All right, thank you, Esther. You understood? Great. Still 5 of you watching. Wow, so. And it's keep staring at. You want to keep staring at this face, is it? All right. You can get your Mr. Han fix for a few more seconds. It's almost 1:50. Jasmine, are you still watching? Do you understand? No? Okay, well, never mind. It's 1:50. Thanks. Have a good day. Stay safe. Be good. Bye.